Hi. Thanks for tuning in to the first ever episode of Peace Propaganda, a weekly show about living peacefully and the people who try to prevent it. I'm the host, Adam Elpo. It's no secret that the liberty scene has grown immensely around the world in the last few years, and I want to bring you a show that highlights the wonderful, positive trends towards freedom and peace. Adam Kokesh is out of jail, but I wouldn't call him a free man. I'll get to that in just a minute. Later in the program, I want to talk to you about that magic internet money, Bitcoin. It's been getting a lot of attention. What is Bitcoin's place in the world? And what does it mean for freedom? But first, 3D printers have come a long way. From tabletop gaming figures to plastic guns, 3D printing seems to be poised to be the next industrial revolution. Today is Saturday, November 9th, 2013. Let's get started. So in the world of 3D printing now, we have Cubify has just released their handheld scanner called the Sense, which is just an astounding device. It's a consumer level device, about 10 inches. You hold it in your hand, you walk around whatever you want to scan. All right, you walk around it a couple of times in the real world, and then it uses its voodoo, and it can create a 3D image. You just plug it right into your computer, and bam, you got a 3D model that you can print out on your machine. Probably a Cubify machine, I'm guessing. But this is groundbreaking. You know, you could scan anything in the real world. You know, you break something at home, you just kind of glue it together in whatever way that it'll stay up for a couple of minutes, scan it, and print out a new one. So now I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, not everything that I own is plastic. In fact, most of the plastic stuff that I own, I just buy new one anyways, and it'd be easier. Well, that's where we get to the next story. Coming out of SolidConcepts, they have created the world's first 3D printed metal gun. They're not machining it. It comes out of the printer in about 30 different parts, but it's a fully functional metal gun. Now, I understand not everybody wants to print a metal gun, but this is an example of a high-end production quality device printed out of a 3D printer. This is an expensive lab quality machine, probably a couple $100,000, but you know, these things will come down soon, and we'll be able to print these things off at home. I remember just a couple years ago looking up a regular plastic 3D printer, and it was just a shaky handy cam of a janky machine that was so loud you couldn't even hear the person narrating it. But yeah, that's out of SolidConcepts. You can get these in the show notes. I'll be back right after this. I want to take this opportunity to tell you about Sean's Outpost, a homeless outreach program which has provided over 20,000 meals to the homeless in Northwest Florida. They're also funded entirely through Bitcoin donations. They are proving that we can address the problems in our community without the state, without its predatory welfare programs, and without its Ponzi money. Recently, Sean's Outpost launched its newest, boldest initiative, Satoshi Forest, a 9-acre homeless sanctuary where they are teaching permaculture, aquaponics, and self-sufficiency to the homeless residents. No one sticks a gun in anyone's face and makes them donate to Sean's Outpost, and yet, every day, people do. Please consider donating to this inspiring cause. Visit Sean'sOutpost.com. That's SEANS Outpost.com.
Must I forever be a beggar whose golden dreams will not come true? Or will I go from rags to riches? My fate is
rags to riches. That's the Bitcoin story right now. As I look at it here, Saturday morning, Bitcoins are trading at $366 US dollars per Bitcoin. Wow. What were they at 2 weeks ago? Probably about 120 something, and now they're triple that. That's nothing to sneeze at. I just was talking to some friends, and they say, "Oh, well, why don't you sell?" Just this morning, they say, "Oh, why don't you sell?" I said, "Well, because if you told me that yesterday, I'd be far less wealthy if I had sold just yesterday." And I woke up, and who knows what the Chinese markets are doing, but keep it up. That said, I'm sure it's not all the Chinese markets. RoboCoin just released the first world's ever Bitcoin ATM. in Vancouver, Canada. Wow. If you haven't heard about this, this is something else. You just put in your money, it prints out a piece of paper, and that's your Bitcoin paper wallet, which you can then bring to your computer, type in the information, and just loads it all right up, and you have your Bitcoins right there. Same thing going back the other direction. You could bring your Bitcoins to this machine, as I understand it, and it will spit out money. It'll spit out Canadian dollars. And not that Bitcoin isn't money, but it'll spit out, you know what I mean, the fiat money. That's astounding. Now, they've had to go through some serious regulatory hurdles, even in Canada, which, as I understand it, is a little bit friendlier than the United States. I'm broadcasting out of the United States, so I know how ridiculous it is. So that is why in the U.S. we have these Lamassu machines, which I'm not sure that there's any permanent establishment with a Lamassu. I know they were at PorcFest. They were sort of showing it off, but the Lamassu machine is a Bitcoin vending machine. Not an ATM, but a vending machine. The difference there being you put in the money, it spits out Bitcoins, sort of like a candy vending machine, right? Then you can't put in a candy bar and get dollars back. It's the same thing. It's not an ATM. You can't put in Bitcoins and get dollars back. It's one way. And so that's the ridiculous, legal mumbo jumbo that has to be dealt with. One way is okay, two ways, suddenly it's a crime. I don't pretend to understand how they come to these conclusions and justify it like it's not a cartelization, but that's for minds smarter than me. So, other big news in Bitcoin has China has now overtaken all other markets in trade volume several times. I don't think the 30-day average has overtaken it, but certain times of the day, presumably when Europe and the U.S. is asleep, Bitcoin is traded most heavily on the Chinese markets, and even during the 24-hour average, the Chinese markets are taking it over. So that's really something to get more people, especially to be able to serve people who don't necessarily have the greatest banking systems. Not that we have it so great in the West either, but catch my drift. I'll be right back. Hi, this is Adam, host of Peace Propaganda. I know that starting something new is hard, really hard, but it's important to get our message heard. That's why I want to help you promote your liberty-related project. I'm offering free 45-second time spots on Peace Propaganda. That's right, free. So do you have something that you're trying to promote? Contact me, Adam Elpo, at host.peacepropaganda@gmail.com. That's host.peacepropaganda@gmail.com. You can send me your own sound clip and I'll play it, or you can send me a blurb about your project and I'll read what you wrote. Or I can talk about it in my own words. I look forward to hearing from you. Now, back to the show. Libertarian activist Adam Kokesh pleads guilty to gun and marijuana charges. That's right, the host of Adam vs. the Man, who you may know, loaded a shotgun in Freedom Plaza in D.C., was arrested. He's been sitting in jail for a couple months now, and on Wednesday, he got out. So this is from an RT article. I'll just read a little bit of it here. It goes on. On Wednesday, Kokesh entered an impromptu guilty plea with regards to the charges filed in D.C. Carrying a rifle or shotgun, possession of an unregistered firearm, and unlawful possession of ammunition. While before the judge, Kokesh also pleaded guilty to an unrelated marijuana possession charge filed before the Independence Day video was uploaded. So yeah, that's everything. He pled guilty to everything. He's not fighting any of it, and it's no secret that Kokesh was a bit of a outspoken critic on numerous occasions to taking a guilty plea. He constantly advised everyone who talked to him that they should not take the guilty plea, and so now here he is doing it. Which, yes, it's certainly hypocritical, but cast the first stone. Who he who would not have taken the guilty plea. I mean, he was facing 20-something years in a federal penitentiary. Now it's down to a 6-year maximum, which is still ridiculous considering he didn't actually hurt anybody. But no victim, no crime. It's not something that our court system is terribly familiar with. The prosecutor was quoted as saying that their job is hard enough without irresponsible individuals carrying a loaded firearm into the district, something along those lines. So basically, yes, it was intentional. It was maybe not the greatest idea, but he's just being completely worked over by this totally corrupt system. I certainly wish all the best for him. And I don't subscribe to the camp that he's making activists look crazy, blah blah blah. Well, no, I don't think so. I think he's making the government look crazy. He walked out there, he loaded a gun, yeah, but he didn't hurt anybody. I don't think anybody even noticed. You watch the video, it's not like people are fleeing in terror. It's just they only know because he uploaded it to YouTube. So that, to me, that doesn't scream crime. So that's it for today's show, and I really want to thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I plan to release a new episode every Saturday, and it would really mean a lot to me if you provided me some feedback. Was the show too short, too long? Maybe you didn't like how I covered the topics. I want to hear it all. If there's any interest, I'll upgrade my operation. But for now, please visit me at peacepropaganda.wordpress.com for show notes with links to the stories I talked about. You download and comment on today's show and give me that feedback. You can also find ways to get in touch with me, which is especially useful if you'd like me to talk about your new project. So that's it. Saturday, November 7th. Have a great week.